is there a fear, as the early days of the internet, where a new brand appeared, like Expedia did not exist before, or Travelocity, that we're going to have a new brand appear that's really going to dominate the mobile place, that's going to use GPS, that's going to really be traveler tools, as we were talking about, and further put some traditional brands at risk?
Yeah, I think it can happen, because what we can see in these months, where we have to cut costs at a very big extent, is the fact that the most innovative ideas are going to be cut from the budget of the big players. So we have seen doing this even in our group. We have seen cutting costs and cutting the most innovative ideas. So this is probably short-sighted as a decision. And what we are going to see probably is someone who is going to exploit this gap. Because, of course, a crisis like this, it helps people that, of course, are visionaries that probably would fill that gap, because we see that is going to happen.
I mean, what's interesting, if you look at the early days of the internet and who grabbed market share. I mean, take Hotels.com, for example, who were, in the last downturn, they grabbed a lot of market share. And the travel suppliers, the hotel groups, fought back very hard to kind of regain their brand equity. Well, interestingly, with mobile, it's actually been the travel suppliers that have been the leaders. It's airlines and it's hotel chains, and it's not the travel intermediaries. So I think the travel suppliers have learned a bit of a lesson from their previous web experience and have applied it to mobile. So to answer your question, I think there probably are opportunities for new models, not necessarily selling travel, in the same way that you do online, but I think there will be opportunities.
Go ahead.
Well, I've seen a lot of startup companies being created in the last year, mobile travel companies, and I believe that they may not be even known right now, but they will be definitely offering new services, as for example, translation from Chinese signatures, just by taking a photo of any Chinese sign and having the translation on your phone. So there are a lot of startups that have been created last year, and I believe that they will play a big role further if they build like kind of mashups and build an integrated service in travel.
That's an interesting perspective. One of the frustrations, I'm sure, for those who develop for clients is the fragmentation in the marketplace. And I think some of the web to mobile, the simple taking the website and paring it down, putting it on the mobile, is a way to at least get a first step, but it avoids that frustration. We recommended in our special report that you actually embrace the fragmentation and you look at it by market, so that BlackBerry users or business users develop on that first. How do you communicate and mitigate the issue of multiple devices, multiple operating systems for the clients you work with?
Well, again, I think that's a bit of a red herring. I'm afraid we didn't agree with the conclusion in the report because, of course, we've very much supported the browser approach. The fragmentation is not as big an issue as it once was. If we go back, and I'm sure Jerry will agree with me on this, if you go back a couple of years ago, we were trying to get these things out using big databases to try and identify the particular handset that was accessing the server, pushing out a correctly rendered version of it. Now, really, you support 4 or 5 browsers, which can be detected very, very easily. You can push out very rich content. I mean, we're pushing now into Ajax-driven full HTML models, getting well away from the old WML. I mean, WML has really dropped off the scene. Certainly CHTML, XHTML, but the future is very much full-blown HTML. So fragmentation is a bit of a red herring again.
Does everyone agree that's a red herring? That everything's just going to be a web?
I think there are. I mean, I think there are real differences in international markets. There are a lot of markets where the majority of users are still using feature phones with WAP 2.0, and there is a perspective sometimes. You know what? It's enough if we just have a service that works on BlackBerry and iPhone. Well, even on iPhone, you actually need an iPhone skinned version if you want to give an iPhone user a real experience. Yeah, sure, you can render it up. But at a basic level, if you actually want to give a service to a customer, so on a single finger touch, they can navigate through, change a flight or whatever, then you actually have to have a separate skin. So I'm not sure that there's going to be convergence. I think one of the areas of specialization, and it's kind of a key thing that we do, is rendering optimally to each device. And as you say, particularly as you go into international markets, you've got to be able to support a wide range of devices.
Okay. So the question from the Twitter board here is, please have the panel discuss the impact of user-generated content and mobile technology in the travel industry. And how is that different? How is user-generated content on a mobile device different than on the web?
First of all, you can, as we said before, it can feel different. I mean, imagine a service we will bring in the next 12 months when you location-based. When you come close to, let's say, Berlin Fairground, you get a message like Post-its or tags from your community, user-generated, what's going on here. So you can do it location-based. It's a huge difference. It can be instant. You can take a photo with your camera and you can download it on your networks. And so it will change, yeah, and it will be integrated, user-generated content.